We want you to embrace the clear understanding that your differences are of such value. The differences in your perspectives or opinions or even desires, that beautiful difference. When you have a relationship where differences still abound, so that you have a dynamic, active relationship, then it can be eternal. But if you can ever get so compatible and so same and so aligned in every idea about everything, then this relationship has no more potential to produce expansion. And that could lead to absolute boredom. That really is why people move on from relationships so often. Instead of embracing that difference in a non-defensive way, most are defensive, because most people, and it's so screwy, but most people, when they encounter someone, especially someone up close to them who they love very much, when they encounter a difference of opinion in someone like that, their usual knee-jerk response is to become defensive. And in their defensiveness, they immediately lose their connection with their own clarity, their own source. They're no longer in the receiving mode. Of course, your goal is to remain in the receiving mode while you are acknowledging your differences. And it's a little tricky, but it's only tricky because as humans, you have developed patterns of defense. Like, if someone doesn't agree with me, then I need to get them on board with me, instead of understanding the value of the varying perspective. When you come together collectively as a group, there are not two of you that are the same. You are so varied in your approach to life, which makes you collectively really, really good for one another. Because without variance or difference, you could not produce new ideas. So rather than feeling defensive about anything, instead what you're wanting to do is acknowledge that there is advantage in it. And that's what we've been calling step 5. Step 5 is realizing that you are having some contrast and that you are aware of some contrast, but at the same time that you are having some contrast, you are not out of the vortex in the contrast. That's what we're asking you. Do you think you can do? Can you be aware of something not wanted and still be in vibrational sync with your inner being? Yes. And the way you do it is by acknowledging the value of the contrast. There is value in contrast. So you say, thank you very much. I hadn't looked at it in that way. I'll think about that. I may not ever agree with you completely, but I like that we have a broader view. You can't push against anyone without being off in the wilderness apart from your own inner being. So when you fight fire with fire, what happens is you leave your true power and you wage a battle that you're not winning even when you're winning. And the reason that most who are fighting fire with fire, or who are fighting at all, the reason that most get more and more belligerent about it or more and more strong about it is because you have a unconscious, maybe conscious awareness that you've stepped out of your energy zone, out of your power zone, out of your true leverage zone, and now you're trying to make up for it through the action and the words, which are never very strong, but it's what makes people be so ridiculous. It's what makes people be ridiculous with their words and their threats and their bullying, because they're out of connection. When you're in connection with true source, you don't feel like bullying anyone. You don't make threats. You just stand in your power and do everything you can to uplift, you see. So in the midst of a sort of battle with your lover, as you stay in your full power, then there's no battle, because there's no threat of you losing your true power. You see, that's why when you battle with each other and you get defensive, is because you've lost your power and now you're fighting against the person that you feel took your power away. We want there to be nothing to be uncomfortable between you. In other words, there's nothing uncomfortable between your inner being and you. Your inner being doesn't care. There's nothing that you do that causes your inner being to separate from you. There's plenty that you do that causes you to not be in the vibrational vicinity of your inner being. You can't get away from your inner being. Your inner being will continue to acknowledge you, to know you, and to love you no matter what. It's only your ideas that cause the separation, you see. So if you are solidly in alignment, then you don't feel that risk, and then you don't feel defensive. You see what we're getting at? So usually You don't really rendezvous with anyone who's too far from where you are unless you live with them. We understand that. If you live with them, they're going to come home no matter, law of attraction be damned. They're coming home. They're coming home because that's where their bed is. You just have to be ready for them to come home, which means you have to be in alignment with yourself. And when you're in alignment with yourself, then there's value in everything that you see. When you're not in alignment with yourself, then you need everything to be the way you need it to be in order to what you erroneously, in a flawed premise way, think will support your alignment. You do not owe it to each other to be in alignment. And when you feather somebody else's nest, when you are so in alignment that they use you for their inner being, then there are going to be testy times, because nobody can stand in that solid place of being the support like the inner being is for anybody else. And yet you do that to each other all the time. You want each other to be the way you need them to be in order to feel good. And when they're not, then they're doing something wrong. And that isn't how it is. Contrast is your strength. Those who are so easy to love prepare you in a screwy way, because then when you meet up with someone who doesn't care enough about you to be easy to love, we don't want you to be nice to each other. We don't want you to fake it. Esther saw an advertisement in a magazine years ago. Jerry and Esther were on an airplane, and it was a hotel ad. And the ad said, "We don't hire people and tell them to be nice. We hire nice people." Because you can't make anybody be nice if they're out of alignment. And so Esther assumed that what the ad was saying is, we hire people who are in alignment. We hire people who it's become their nature to want to feel good. Well, life keeps coming at you. This is the thing that we want you to acknowledge, embrace, and be all right with. Life is going to keep coming at you because there are so many variables. And you just want your shock absorbers to be ready to enjoy, not deal with, not cope with, not tolerate. We want you to enjoy life as it comes. Because every time another piece of it comes in answer to a request for expansion that you have set out there. Every bit of it. So when something comes that feels a little uncomfortable, what it is posing the question, which you're putting in the vortex, which will attract the answer, which you, if you're one of the cooperative components, then when you get to move toward the answer of your own question or toward the solution to your own problem, you get to experience the growth expansion that you're all about, you see. It's so interesting to us. We love you so much, but so many humans really think that they just want life to just be this perfect way so they can just observe it and feel good. And we promise you that will never be, and that's why you stir so much trouble up. You look for problems because it's so satisfying to find solutions. And because problems and solutions, that is the equation for expansion. Question, answer, question, answer, question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. That's the formula for expansion, which is the mantra of that which we all are. We are eternal beings, and if we are not expanding, we are really done, and we will never be done. So you can't stop expanding, so you might as well embrace your expansion, which means understand how expansion comes. So when you understand how expansion comes, then just because something's not perfect, you don't freak out and condemn it and be rude about it. You embrace it. You appreciate it. You feel thankful for it. You feel satisfied that it exists. And then you live happily ever after with so many others who have differences in desires and opinions and beliefs. Because no one is a threat to you other than your own split energy. And it's not really a threat, it's just an irritation. So now you care about the alignment, so you look toward it, you find the feeling place of it, you do some of the things that we've talked about here, and you find the vibrational alignment to the desire, and oh, it feels so good as it clicks into place, aha. And then, once you've found the vibrational alignment, now the manifestation happens too. So you ask for it, you lined up with it, and now it manifested. And now you're standing in a whole new place with a whole new set of contrasting experiences, producing whole new desires. Yay, I'm still alive. And then you line up with that, it clicks into place, it manifests, now you're standing in a whole new place with a whole new set of contrasting desires. The flawed premise that so many humans live by, even those who've been listening to us for a while, is that once I get that, I'll stand in this place, and now my work is done. And we say, if your work could ever be done, then your satisfaction could be done too. Because if somebody or something doesn't stir up a new desire to which you are moving toward, you're not going to find any satisfaction, because satisfaction comes only from moving toward the desire. Yes? You don't have to close the gap completely to be satisfied. You just want to be moving toward it. You can't be moving in opposition to it. And you move in opposition to it when you're defending where you came from, when you think that there's this pie that you're splitting up and fighting over. It's nothing like that. The universe is expanding in direct and equal proportion to the desires that you produce within each other. So what you want to say is, thank you for producing a new desire within me. A desire for more harmony, a desire for more understanding, but most of all, a desire for the expansion that this, whatever it is producing. Most of you have come to your conclusions based upon what you've been living, and it's hard to trust and expect new wonderful things that you haven't lived before. Most people really believe that they have to give up something for something else. They believe in sacrifice. Because I haven't experienced that before. Most people need to see it before they believe it. But we want you to know you got to believe it before you can see it. And you got to feel your way to it. So an argument is a good thing if it doesn't last very long. A flare-up is a really good thing because it puts new things in the vortex. But once things flare up, don't hammer with each other trying to find the solution, because when you're out of the vortex, you're not ever going to find a solution. All you're going to do is dig deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the problem. Now that's all right, because as you dig deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the problem, you create, oh, what a wonderful more. You put more and more and more into the vortex. But it reaches a point where there's enough in the vortex to keep you happily busy for 20 or 30 years. It's time to start step 3ing it instead of doing so much step 1ing it. And after a little while, you'll come to trust so much in being able to be or do or have anything that you want, that then it won't be step 1 anymore, it'll be step 5. And step 5 is, there's contrast, but I'm loving it. This is satisfying contrast. This is not separating contrast. This is clarifying contrast. Yeah. 100% of all satisfaction comes from a new desire, from a desire. It doesn't have to be new. But we want to say new because if you've got this down, desire, you move toward it, so you need another new one. You don't ever get it done. So you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. What you do want isn't your most active vibration. What you don't want usually is. But it's the most active vibration for your inner being, so it's calling you. So you have to adjust into the new desire because the situation that produced it is what's most active in you. Yes? Isn't that the way it is? What is what's most active in you. And it's a dynamic, moving thing. It's not like a college degree where once you get it, it's yours forevermore. It either is or it isn't in the moment. When you get all tuned in, that entire universe opens to you and all things are possible. And the best of the best of the best of it just shows itself to you. And the path of least resistance to move to it just shows itself to you too. It's just this most delicious journey.